Kim and I first met roughly 7 years ago and quickly formed a close friendship. Both of us were raised in the Midwest, where our devout Christian beliefs placed God above all else, even family. Our Sundays were filled with church visits and hopeful discussions about our future plans. I pursued a successful career as an engineer with promising prospects, while Kim thrived in her role selling accounting software for a prominent technology firm based in Atlanta. Before our marriage, my parents generously gifted me a 3-bedroom house upon my college graduation. With their wealth, they aimed to share their success while still alive, unlike many who wait until after pass away. Mom and Dad found joy in giving during their lifetime. Kim and I exchanged vows a little over 5 years ago, and since then, we've been on an endless honeymoon. Our lovemaking life was vibrant, with passionate encounters at least 4 nights a week. We were viewed as soulmates, much to the amusement of our friends who were envious of our closeness. Our joy multiplied when we welcomed 2 beautiful blonde twin girls into our lives. After their arrival, our focus shifted entirely to raising them in a nurturing and loving environment. Our lifestyle might be deemed dull by some. We typically dined at home most evenings, reserving Friday and Saturday nights for outings and Sundays for church. Unlike peers our age, we weren't drawn to socializing or keeping up with fashion trends. Kim opted for conservative attire both at work and home, reserving our lovemaking moments exclusively for our bedroom built on trust and transparency, forming a sturdy foundation for our marriage. Kim, naturally affectionate, expressed her love through tender gestures of touch, kisses and hugs, all of which I adored. We relished in sharing our emotions and cherished each other deeply. While raising twins presented its challenges, I cherished every moment spent with them. Though the twins posed some stress for Kim, I gladly supported her through any difficulties. Our partnership was built on effective communication, ensuring we dealt with issues promptly. Life with Kim and our twin girls was going smoothly. However, a week before the annual exhibition, Kim received notice that she had to participate due to others falling ill with the virus. Despite her attempts to decline, she had no choice but to comply due to the urgency of the situation. She expressed her regret, saying she was sorry to leave us for 3 days and that she had tried to avoid it by contacting her boss. She mentioned how much she hated being away from us. I reassured her that we would manage fine without her for a few days and that we would miss her dearly. I helped her pack and accompanied her to the limo arranged by the company for her airport journey. Our marriage had always been solid, built on trust and transparency. There had never been any indication of her behaving in a way that wasn't loving or faithful. We shared everything openly and worked together as a team, especially when it came to our children. On the second night of the exhibition, I received a text from Greg, a colleague and friend who was at a cybersecurity event in Atlanta. He mentioned Kim being at the exhibition and asked if I was supposed to be at the security conference. He seemed curious about the trade show Kim was attending, and I confirmed it was in Atlanta, but wasn't sure of the exact name. Greg's messages left me wondering what he was trying to imply. His message contained 2 photos and a video. I sat paralyzed with dread. The first photo depicted my wife in an unfamiliar outfit, the shortest dress I'd ever seen her wear, accentuating her ample chest with a plunging neckline. She wore pumps I didn't recognize, her hair and makeup flawless, radiating stunning allure. Never had she appeared so alluring to me. Initially, upon seeing the first photo, I convinced myself it must be someone resembling Kim, as it seemed implausible it could be her. I chuckled inwardly, musing, I wish Kim would dress like that one day. But the amusement faded when the subsequent photo emerged, a close-up of her closely seated next to Jonathan, one of her bosses. I sat there, stunned, motionless, not even blinking, until the next photo materialized, a close-up of her smiling and gazing into Jonathan's eyes. My heart sank at the sight. Though I attempted to rationalize, there must be a logical explanation, albeit futile. The following message contained a brief video clip showing my wife kissing Jonathan, her arms wrapped around his neck while his hand rested on her right breast. In that instant, my mind exploded. I felt as if my entire world collapsed upon me. Tears of anguish streamed down my face, my heart racing, and a wave of nausea engulfing me. A message came through. Hey, are you okay? What should I do? Can you see her right now? Yes, I'll give her a call right away to check on her. I dialed her number, hearing it ring several times before reaching voicemail. Leaving a message, I expressed our longing to speak with her and ensure she had a pleasant evening. I reached out to Greg, updating him on the call. I just tried reaching her. What happened? Greg's remorse was palpable. David, I'm sorry about this. She took her phone out of her purse, glanced at the caller ID, then returned it to her purse. I can't believe it's her. I've never seen her behave or dress like this before. Greg, it's okay. Thank you for being upfront with me. You're a true friend. I'll handle this myself. If possible, avoid confronting her. Keep me informed if anything else occurs. But don't waste time trailing her. I'll handle it from here. Are you going to be okay, buddy? No, I'm far from okay, but I know what I need to do. I'll handle it. I'm still reeling from the shock, but I'll come to terms with everything. Thanks again. Anytime. I'm here for you. Take care of yourself, Greg. Thanks once more. I poured a stronger drink and sat in the dimly lit living room, grappling with the sudden collapse of my world in under 20 minutes. I had been oblivious to any issues in our relationship. How long had this been going on? Was I truly oblivious to the signs? No, she never gave me cause for concern. In fact, over the past 6 months, our bond had grown stronger, our closeness intensified. None of it made sense, leaving me bewildered. In the following hour, Greg sent more photos and videos. A brief clip showed them dancing, his hand on her back. Another captured them kissing on the dance floor. A photo depicted a deep, private kiss on a deserted dance floor, oblivious to the music's end. I acknowledged it was over between us, yet there was much I needed to unravel and comprehend. Leveraging my analytical skills as an engineer and problem solver, I spent the ensuing days devising a plan. Kim surprised me with a call at 10 p.m. After receiving their final photo, I took a deep breath, striving to compose myself. I resolved not to reveal any inkling of awareness about her actions. Hey there, sorry I missed your earlier call. I was at a dinner meeting and couldn't talk. I miss you so much, baby. Wish I could be there with you, cuddling under the covers, showering you with kisses. I miss you too, Kim. I love you deeply, and thanks for calling. The girls are adorable, and I'll send you some photos. They're missing their mom and want you to come home. I tried to leave tomorrow, but my boss insisted I stay. Hate being away from you, darling. We'll celebrate when you're back. Finished for today? Yes, I'm preparing for bed and another long work day. Love you, baby, and I'll call you tomorrow. Good night, Kim. I love you more than words can express. And with that, I hung up, tears welling up again. What I said was genuine. I loved her more than anything and hoped this was just a terrible dream. Past midnight, I lay in bed unable to sleep. I wondered if she was truly in her hotel room and what she was up to. My question was answered by another message from Greg. It was a photo of Kim and Jonathan on a lobby sofa, sharing a kiss. His hand was beneath her short skirt, her arms wrapped around his neck. They resembled a couple in love, publicly displaying their affection. And one last thing, buddy. I'm done for today, but looks like she's busy. Let me know if you want me to stop. I can easily put an end to this. It's tough to face right now, but thanks for the photos. No need. Let her go. It's her wrongdoing, not yours. Stay out of it. Thanks again. I cried myself to sleep, knowing that the love of my life had betrayed me. Eventually, exhaustion and the comfort of our marriage vows and our daughter's sleep eased the pain and tears until I woke up the next morning. Kim sent me several affectionate messages adorned with hearts, kisses, and emojis. She professed her love, expressing how much she missed both me and the girls. She even hinted at a passionate night ahead upon her return. When she came back, she showered me with sweetness and affection, behaving as though nothing had transpired. I began to wonder if perhaps she suffered from dissociative disorder or had been unknowingly medicated. Despite my search for explanations, I realized I needed to confront the reality and prepare for her imminent return home. Our frequent conversations seemed normal, with Kim expressing her longing to reunite with us. I couldn't determine what upset me more, her infidelity or the deceit accompanying it. Feeling deceived cut as deep as witnessing her embrace with Jonathan. Upon learning of my wife's betrayal through Greg's messages, I took decisive action. Leveraging my tech expertise, I discreetly installed tracking software on her phone, initially intended for locating misplaced devices. Opting for the latest software available, I even walked Kim through its setup. This software also featured a voice recorder capable of capturing calls, texts, and emails with automatic cloud uploads if activated. Let me clarify, my intention wasn't to spy on her, but circumstances warranted caution. Before this incident, I never considered invading her privacy. However, following recent events, my trust had been shattered irreparably. My priority was safeguarding our daughters and salvaging our marriage, if feasible. Thankfully, caring for the twins kept me occupied, offering respite from thoughts of our disintegrating relationship. Whether it was preparing breakfast, tidying up after them, or engaging in doll play, These moments were precious amidst the turmoil. Trust me, tending to 3-year-old twins is no small feat. It was 2 p.m., and I finally managed to get the girls to settle down for their afternoon nap. After tidying up the house and showering, I sat at the table to catch up. Kim had sent me 6 more affectionate messages, mentioning she would call at 5 p.m. once her day wrapped up. After reading them, I accessed the cloud from my laptop, logged into her account, and reviewed everything recorded since activating the spying software. I sat in shock as I read the messages exchanged with Jonathan. Here are a few excerpts. "You were incredible last night, baby. Can't wait for tonight." "Thanks, kitten. I enjoyed it too. Can we head to my room after work before dinner?" "Certainly, but I need to call my husband first. I should be ready by 5:15. "Does your husband suspect anything?" "Of course not. He thinks I love him, and I'll keep it that way. We've kept it a secret for over 6 months, and he's clueless. Don't worry." My anger became overwhelming, prompting me to stop reading. "Kitty! Did he call her kitten? That's my term for her during closeness. Did she give him that too? Was I truly that oblivious? What kind of fool was I?" I dropped my laptop on a chair and screamed, grabbing a lamp from the table and hurling it forcefully into the wall, shattering it into pieces. The rage I had managed to control now consumed me. As I was about to break another lamp, I heard the girls crying. Their cries snapped me back to reality, and I regained control. I rushed into the bedroom, holding both girls in my arms until they calmed down. After cleaning up the glass from my outburst, I let them play in the living room while I sat with another strong drink, reflecting on my actions. In my view, the marriage was beyond repair, and it was time to take action. I lacked the strength to listen to their conversations or review any more files, so I allowed them to accumulate in the cloud. I decided to play along with Kim, just as she had deceived me. My immediate plan was to act like a loving husband while strategizing my next steps. I intended to contact a divorce lawyer, hire a private investigator, and find a way to secure custody of the girls. Their well-being was my top priority, and the only thing that truly mattered to me. "Hey, sweetheart, how are the girls holding up? They're missing their mommy." "Oh my goodness, they're on my mind all day, every day. And of course, you too. I can't wait to wrap my arms around you. When I get back, I'm going to give you the warmest kiss you've ever had." I played along, saying, "Oh, darling, I think of you constantly, longing to embrace my loving, beautiful wife. Soon, my love, we'll be reunited." Somehow I kept it together, and our call lasted precisely 15 minutes. At 5:15, she bid farewell, saying, "I love you, David. I have to go catch the bus back to the hotel. I'll message you later. I love you." Another effortlessly delivered lie. She had quite the talent for it. "I love you too, sweetheart. More than you can imagine." The pain of her deception has now transformed into contempt, anger, and a desire for revenge. I was determined to expose her lies and hold her accountable. I had loved her wholeheartedly, making this betrayal all the more difficult to bear. I greeted her at the airport, and she embraced and kissed me just as she had promised. Either she was an exceptional actress, or she genuinely cared for me deeply. Was her involvement with Jonathan merely physical? Her behavior continued to baffle me. She spent an hour with the girls, relishing their company. That night, she was exceptionally affectionate in bed, repeatedly expressing how much she missed me and the girls, and lamenting her prolonged absence. She spoke of wanting nothing more than to be with me, holding each other in bed. She was tender, loving, and entirely different from the woman I saw at the fair. I reciprocated her affection and cherished our time together. It felt genuine, and I yearned for it to be authentic because being with her was all I desired. Yet, deep down, I knew it would soon come to an end. I kept my newfound knowledge hidden, showering her with love and fulfilling her every night. To outsiders, our relationship seemed idyllic, sparking envy in others. This charade persisted for 3 months, during which I searched for any signs of infidelity but found none. She arrived home from work at her usual time every evening. No unusual phone calls or text messages. I even dared to hope that it was all a mistake and that things would resolve themselves. Mr. Bryce, a private investigator, called me and arranged to meet the next day. I drove downtown to their office and sat in their conference room. "Good afternoon, David. Good to see you again." "Likewise, Mr. Bryce." "David, I wish I had better news, but unfortunately I have to deliver some bad news. Are you prepared to review our findings?" I sighed and nodded in agreement. While I hoped for the best, deep down, I knew what was happening between Kim and Jonathan. Mr. Bryce placed a thick leather 3-ring binder in front of me. It contained sections labeled text messages, voice transcripts, video calls, phone call transcripts, and photos. Mr. Bryce, before we delve into this, I'm perplexed because I've been closely monitoring her activities and schedule for the past 3 months, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. She's been the ideal wife and partner, and none of this makes sense. Let me guide you through this and see if anything becomes clearer. I refrained from accessing cloud files because I couldn't bear the thought of reading the texts, hoping for a positive outcome. Unfortunately, that hope was dashed. There were over 75 pages of text messages, 25 pages of emails, and 75 pages of time-stamped photos showing them entering and exiting hotel rooms together. Additionally, there were over 82 video calls and 50 pages of phone conversations. Kim and Jonathan had been visiting a motel at least 4 times a week for the past 3 months, spending an average of 2 hours together during each visit. It appears that for the past month there have been 2 men meeting your wife 4 times a week. Do you recognize this man? Oh my God. Is this Jason Sinclair? Is he the CEO of her company? Are you saying she's involved with 2 men, one of whom is the CEO? I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but based on the evidence from text messages, phone calls, and videos, it's evident that he's engaged in a carnal relationship with your wife. The video call labeled balcony actually captured them in a love-making moment, with him behind her as she leaned over the railing. They seemed unaware they were being recorded. Our high-definition video captured close-ups of their faces, and the audio was also recorded. He played the video on the 80-inch screen. There was Kim, my wife, leaning over the railing with her CEO standing behind her. I felt sick to my stomach. I had to step out of the room for a few minutes to compose myself. I returned to the conference room, urging them to continue, as I was now eager to see what my wife had been up to. The video labeled Balcony 2 shows your wife with both Jason and Jonathan simultaneously. I regret having to show you all this, but since they were in public, you can use these videos if you decide to proceed with your divorce and custody battle. I sat there, mouth agape, still finding it difficult to believe it could be Kim. I prayed fervently that it was all just a colossal mistake. David, we've looked into Jonathan Wilkes and Jason Sinclair. Jonathan has been married for 10 years with 4 young children. Mr. Sinclair has also been married for 25 years with 3 grown children. Text messages reveal that Jonathan introduced Jason into their activities after your wife expressed interest in a triangle of love. It's quite grim, so I'll leave you to review it when you're ready. Here's the folder and a USB drive containing all the files and videos. Your lawyer will likely need both. When I met with my lawyer, she was astonished at the wealth of evidence we had gathered and couldn't believe there were no prior signs of infidelity. At home, Kim continued to play the role of a devoted wife and mother, behaving as if everything was normal. The lawyer outlined various legal avenues based on the evidence I provided, but needed time to explore our options fully, scheduling another appointment for the following week. I instructed her to begin filing the divorce papers as soon as possible. Leaving her office, I felt a pit in my stomach. I knew it was over before these meetings, but watching those videos extinguished any hope of reconciliation. I was still baffled. Who was this woman? Later that evening, after putting the girls to bed, we watched an old movie I found on Netflix called Unfaithful. I heard it was a good film. Let's give it a shot, I suggested, hitting play. Given the film's theme of infidelity, I had prepared for the conversation in advance. During the movie, I casually mentioned a female intern at my office who had been showing interest in me for months. Can you imagine me with another woman? I chuckled. Kim eyed me suspiciously. Really? Who? If I catch you even thinking about being with her, I'm leaving. Got it? You're mine and no one else's, she asserted sternly. Despite my attempts to keep the mood light, she was dead serious. She made it abundantly clear that she wouldn't tolerate any deceit. It was astounding how indignant she was about it, considering her own actions. It was driving me mad. David, why didn't you tell me about her sooner? What's her name? Kim? Relax. She's just an intern, a young, flirtatious girl. I've completely ignored her. What about you, Kim? You're the most beautiful girl in your office. Do you mean to tell me no one ever flirts with you? Of course not. They all know I'm married and would never cheat on you. So, in our entire marriage, you never entertained the thought of being with another guy or did anything like that. Not even a friendly kiss? Have you ever cheated on me, baby? Her anger flared. Are you kidding me? Did you seriously just ask me that? I constantly express my love for you. I'm always faithful to you, and I couldn't imagine being with another man. You're being ridiculous. I can't believe you'd even think that. I apologized, agreeing with her, and resumed watching the movie. I chuckled to myself, thinking she could have been an actress with how convincing she was. No wonder she excelled at her job. Once things settled down, she leaned against my shoulder again, and I knew it was time. I grabbed my phone, opened the messaging app, and selected a photo of Kim and Jonathan kissing on the dance floor, his hand on her behind. I was studying the photo when she noticed my distraction. "What are you doing, David? Why aren't you watching the movie?" "Because what I'm looking at is more real." "What do you mean?" I muted the movie and displayed the photo to her. She froze, attempting to speak, but failing. I kept my gaze on the photo. "Quite the passionate kiss you're giving Jonathan. Allow me to explain. Where did you get this? You were dining with your buddy, Greg Stanton, who spotted you with that guy in the restaurant. He texted me to confirm if it was you or if he was mistaken. Turns out it was indeed you, and he sent me this. Also, gotta say, you look stunning in that dress. I've never seen you in something so revealing. Were you trying to impress your boyfriend?" "Oh, you have an explanation?" "I'm all ears," I remarked, placing the phone back on my lap. "Baby, we only had one dance, and he was intoxicated. After the song ended, he grabbed me and kissed me. What you don't see is that right afterward, I slapped him and caused a scene. I would never allow that to happen. I actually bought this dress for a business dinner, but didn't realize how revealing it was until now. I'm so sorry." "I understand. It happens." "And that was the only incident?" I sensed her wavering confidence and reassured her. "Yes, baby. And he won't try it again." The movie resumed, and I reclined quietly, knowing Kim was uneasy. After a few minutes, I retrieved my phone and began playing a video of them sitting on the couch, with hand under her skirt. She shot me a frightened look. "What are you watching now?" "Remember that night when you called, saying you had a long day and were getting ready for bed?" "Yes," she whispered. "It's interesting. I received another text from Greg, 2 hours after your call, and this time it was a video. Do you want to see?" I asked, hitting play, revealing her and Jonathan kissing, while his hands roamed her lovemaking areas that should have been mine alone. "I'm eager to hear a new explanation," I remarked, smiling. My anger had dissipated, replaced by contempt and amusement at her response. "Oh, David, I'm so sorry." After we hung up, Jonathan called saying we needed to discuss an issue with a client we were meeting in the morning. He asked me to meet him in the lobby to prepare. I barely recall this video because I had a few drinks and got a bit drunk. You know how I get when I'm intoxicated. I understand the video looks damning, but nothing happened beyond that. I distinctly recall going to my room, telling him to stop, reminding him I was happily married and leaving. Nothing transpired. You have to trust me. "That's part of the issue, kitten," I said, emphasizing the nickname. I noticed her reaction when I said that and continued. "The problem is, I've always believed you, yet in the last 20 minutes, you've lied to me twice. Can you understand my perspective? I'm here alone, and the woman I love is kissing her boss in 2 photos dressed in the most revealing outfit I've ever seen her wear. How do you think I feel, baby?" "David, I love you. This happened 3 months ago. Why didn't you confront me earlier? Honestly, I wanted to see if you'd come clean on your own. I wanted assurance that my wife was as truthful and transparent as we've always been with each other. But now I see where we stand. Are there any other lies? Are you involved with him? Do you love him now?" I was toying with her, relishing her confusion and performance. She began sobbing, repeatedly professing her love for me. "Kim, please refrain from telling me how much you love me. I know you love me and I still love you, but that doesn't change the reality of these photos. I need answers. Are there other deceptions?" I added, discreetly hitting the record button on the phone. "David, hear me out. Nothing beyond a kiss happened. I admit I kissed him, as you saw, but that was the extent of it. Each time I told him to stop. I'm not sure what Greg saw or told you, but you have to trust me." "All right, stop crying, baby. I trust you. However, I'm puzzled by your attire. You never dress like that for me, nor do you style your hair and makeup that way. Was it for him? You haven't answered my question. Do you have feelings for him? Are you considering leaving me?" "Kim, please. I need the truth." The tears resumed. "No, David. My love is only for you. I never want to lose you. Nothing happened. And I'm not sure why I dressed like that. It's unlike me. Perhaps it was because other women were dressed similarly, and I wanted to look as good. I'm not certain. I felt a bit insecure." "I can understand that. But why didn't you inform me about Jonathan and your interactions? Since nothing truly occurred and I ended it, I didn't want to upset you. He's my superior and I couldn't risk losing my job. If anything happened, if it truly did, I would have told you immediately. You understand, right?" I comforted her with a kiss and embraced her gently, allowing her to cry. This marked the beginning of a month-long scheme to exact my revenge. That night, we made love, and I reveled in her remarkable skills, detached as her spouse, and envisioning myself as one of her lovers. I refused to deny myself her body or caution her about anything peculiar. Her acting was commendable, but at that moment I was indifferent. She was more fervent than ever, attempting to convince me of my exclusive place in her heart. This routine persisted for the following weeks. Each night her performance was flawless, and I simply savored the spectacle. The next morning I checked the cloud for any correspondence with Jonathan. Predictably, she didn't disappoint. "Oh my God, someone took photos of us at the fair and sent them to David. His friend saw me at the restaurant without David. I'm unsure if he's aware, but the video showed us kissing. Damn. Now that you mention it, I recall a man with a phone across from us observing, but I didn't think much of it. How did David react? Nothing. I convinced him nothing happened. I intervened. He's unaware I spent the night in your room. I persuaded him it was drinks-induced and made amends. He's easily swayed. A few kisses and good lovemaking have always sufficed. Be cautious, baby. We agreed to meet there tomorrow at 1 p.m., as usual. Can't wait. Love you, baby. Love you too, kitten." That marked the final message, and I sat silently pondering it all. Undoubtedly, I felt like the world's biggest fool, yet there's a certain satisfaction in revenge, so I proceeded with determination. However, I took pleasure in observing Kim's antics and awaited to see how many more lies she would spin. Naturally, my first course of action was to tend to my financial affairs, transferring funds, closing accounts, and the like. I opted to keep my primary Visa card active, but slashed the limit to $2,500 to mitigate potential damage. Since Kim remained clueless about my mounting anger, she never anticipated any changes. I confirmed with my lawyer that since the house was mine pre-marriage, I wouldn't be compelled to vacate upon notification. Naturally, I drafted the infamous email containing videos, texts, and photos that I eventually sent to all her contacts, friends, family, and coworkers. Additionally, I crafted duplicate binders from my personal account for Mrs. Sinclair and Mrs. Wilkes to share in their anguish. These would be distributed simultaneously with notifications and legal filings. I instructed my lawyer to gear up for public civil lawsuits against both Jonathan, her boss, and Jason, the company's CEO. Given the company's prominence on the East Coast, my lawyer relished the prospect of involving the CEO. We planned to propose a settlement before unveiling the CEO and manager's alleged carnal aggravation of employees. Collaborating with child services attorneys, we aimed for full custody and diligently compiled documents for the investigation. Over the ensuing weeks, everything appeared normal. We tended to the children and spent quality time together daily. Our conversations danced around the elephant in the room, leaving the issue untouched. I'm certain my silence on the matter drove her to the brink of madness. The uncertainty of my thoughts must have been agonizing. To further toy with Kim, I posed a few probing questions. "So Kim, has your boss taken any action against you since the fair? Is there something you'd like to share?" Having gleaned insights from her conversations with Jonathan, I marveled at her composure in maintaining her facade of deceit. It was amusing to observe her reaction, and now I could even predict when she was about to lie. She responded calmly, stating that nothing had occurred. It felt odd because both of us were acting as if nothing had transpired, which was true. In reality, he remained completely professional, and our interactions were minimal due to our busy schedules. I sat there with a wry smile, still astonished that the woman who bore my children and whom I loved could lie so effortlessly. That night, I released the last remnants of the anger simmering within me. I confronted her and took full advantage of her that night. "Oh my God, David, what got into you? You're behaving so wildly today. I've never seen you so bold and uninhibited. I enjoyed it." What a whirlwind, I thought to myself. I knew this would be the final encounter before all of this turmoil surfaced the next day, and I intended to take everything I could from my soon-to-be ex-wife. That afternoon, the sheriff entered the offices of Tricom International and requested to see Mr. Sinclair. Moments later, Sheriff Clark handed him an envelope. "Mr. Sinclair, you've been served." A moment later, Sinclair found himself alone in his spacious office, clutching the envelope with fear gripping his entire being. After reading the complaint repeatedly, he promptly instructed his secretary to summon Jason to his office, while simultaneously calling him. Jason, too, had just been served by the same sheriff. He rushed into Sinclair's office, and they both stood there, stunned and bewildered. "What the hell? How did this happen?" Jason, if my wife catches wind of this, I'm finished. This is on you. You assured me this woman would never leave us. Fix this, Jason, or I swear I'll ruin you and your family. Do you understand?" Sinclair was not one to be trifled with. A ruthless businessman who had clawed his way to the top of the multi-billion-dollar organization and had no intention of backing down. Jonathan hurried out of his office and waited for the elevator to descend to the 12th floor, intending to speak with Kim. As he traversed the hallway toward her office, he noticed the sheriff approaching from the opposite direction, indicating that he had come from Kim's direction. Bursting into her office, he found her seated at her desk, tears streaming down her face. Overwhelmed with emotion, she was unable to speak. David had shattered her world, much like she had done to him months earlier. It took her more than an hour to compose herself enough to articulate her thoughts. "Akeem, what in the world happened? How did he find out about everything? What do you mean?" "I've just been served with divorce papers. What do you mean by us?" "Sinclair and I are also being sued and facing a civil lawsuit for our actions. We're unsure of the evidence against us, but there must be more than just the 2 images you saw. You need to convince David to back off, or else Sinclair will ruin us and my family." "Oh my God, this is terrible. It's awful. You must go to him and make him see reason. Do whatever it takes to halt this. Head home and address this. Call me tonight if you can and keep me informed." Trembling, Kim packed her belongings and drove home. Her beloved husband and the father of her children was divorcing her. She didn't want a divorce and genuinely loved David. However, she found herself unable to resist the allure of carnal excitement. She needed to make David understand that she couldn't bear to lose him over this. Returning to an empty house, she found the girls were at David's sister's house, as they were every afternoon while they both worked. She phoned David's sister, requesting if she could keep the children overnight. Without inquiring further, Katie gladly agreed to take care of the girls for the night. Kim showered, styled her hair and makeup, and anxiously awaited David's return from work. At 6 o'clock, she heard the garage door open and nervously anticipated his entrance into the house. "Hi, Kim. Didn't expect to see you tonight. Thought you'd be with Jonathan." "Oh, wait, he's married with kids. This might get awkward." "David, please, let's talk." She took his hand and seated him beside her on the sofa. Despite the circumstances, she appeared surprisingly composed and more pleasant than usual when greeting him. Expecting this, he played along. "David, as you already know, I was served today. But do you realize I don't want a divorce? I need you and love you. I won't sign these papers. Jonathan means nothing to me. Yes, we had lovemaking, but it wasn't love. I just needed it, and I'm truly sorry. I'll never do it again, I promise." "Oh, you promise? Guess I can trust you now." "Sure, let's forget everything and get back to normal," I said, smiling lovingly. Kim embraced me and planted a kiss. "Thank you, baby. I love you so much. I'm grateful you forgive me and understand I won't lie to you again." Surprised, I was certain she caught my sarcasm. Pulling away, I gently pushed her aside. "You're delusional. I can't trust you anymore. After all your lies and deceit, there's nothing left. I gave you many chances, but you kept lying, deceiving me and ruining our lives. I know all about your daily hotel rendezvous with your bosses. Did you really think I'd take you back after all this? Have you even considered the damage you're causing to the girls? I can't turn a blind eye to this. But you can. And why go after Sinclair and Jonathan? Well, your partners in crime are also CEOs of a multi-billion-dollar company. Once I'm out of here, I'll need money to properly support the girls. Since they're partly responsible for destroying our marriage and my life, I'll destroy them too. I plan to dismantle their family, hit them financially, and use them the way they used you." Kim had never witnessed David express himself in such a manner, nor had she seen him so intensely angry and focused. The seriousness of the situation finally struck her, and she realized she had lost control over both the situation and her husband. All she could do now was plead. With tears streaming down her cheeks, she knelt before David, clutching his legs, begging for forgiveness. Though David felt a pang of sympathy for her, his anger overpowered any compassion, and he lifted her onto the sofa. Speaking to her in a gentle tone, as if she were a child, David laid out a plan. "Listen, Kim. Pack your bag and stay at your mom's for a few nights. Get a lawyer, then we can arrange a meeting to discuss everything. In the meantime, a word to the wise. I suggest you stay away from Jason and Jonathan. Things are about to get messy." Later that evening at her mom's, she explained that she and David had a disagreement, and she needed to stay with her for a while. At 11 p.m., she called Jonathan on his cell. Jonathan quickly looped in Jason on a three-way call. "Jason, are you here? Kim, are you there?" Yes, we are here," Sinclair initiated the conversation. "So, Kim, did you manage to persuade him to give up the lawsuits and the divorce?" "No. In fact, he kicked me out and warned me to be careful because it could lead to trouble." Sinclair shouted into the phone, "Jesus Christ, Jonathan, what have you done? Kim, you're a freaking prick. I swear I will have you and Jonathan eliminated if my family finds out about this. I don't care what you do, but make it stop." Kim cried, "I can't do anything. He is out of control and won't listen to anything I say. He doesn't even answer my calls or texts." Sinclair spoke up. "Jonathan, you need to fix this. Make an appointment with David and have him meet us at a bar somewhere. Anything loud and the noisier the better. Kim, you will be there too, and ask him to drop the lawsuit in front of us. If he says no, then Jonathan and I will explain how damaging it will be for him and his family if he doesn't back down. I have people tasked with fixing things like this, and I won't hesitate to use them to keep this show from turning into complete crap. Jonathan, do you understand what you need to do?" "Yes, Mr. Sinclair." "Kim, you know what you have to do, right?" "Yes, Mr. Sinclair. Do it and make it happen tomorrow afternoon. We don't have time to waste." Sinclair disappeared. Kim and Jonathan hung up after a few minutes, considering the situation. That night, upon hearing the call, David wasn't surprised by their desperation and devised his own plan. As expected, Jonathan called the next morning to arrange a settlement meeting. They agreed to meet at 6 p.m. in a courtyard. At 4 p.m., David was at his private investigator's office, preparing for the meeting. They utilized cutting-edge technology with noise cancellation to capture clear sound, even in noisy environments. A private investigator would also be present to film the meeting as evidence. David arrived at 6:15, purposefully keeping them waiting and allowing time for the private investigator to set up his video camera. Upon seeing Kim, he approached the group. "Kim, I'm surprised to see you here with your partners, but I suppose we know where your allegiance lies. Gentlemen, what brings us together? Why are we here?" Sinclair spoke up. "David, I'm Jason Sinclair, and I requested this meeting." "Sinclair, you look quite different in person. These videos don't capture your essence. Can't say it's a pleasure to meet you." "Indeed, that's precisely why we're here. This is Jonathan Wilkes." "Jonathan, the man who slept with my wife and wrecked my marriage." "Can't say it's a pleasure to meet any of you." Sinclair interjected, "I understand your anger. If I were in your shoes, I'm not sure how I'd react. But we need to discuss something. Follow me." "What's on your mind?" asked David. "We want you to drop the lawsuits against me, Jonathan, and the company." "Funny, that's all." "Oh no, sorry, can't do that. Someone has to pay for taking away the most important thing in my life," David stated, looking at Kim. "The only woman I've ever loved, and the mother of my children." Kim began to cry, realizing the magnitude of the damage she had caused. "What will it take for you to end this and take Kim back?" "Name your price." "Firstly, no amount of money could ever make me take her back. She betrayed my love, trust, and our children's lives for a fling with you two. It's out of the question. I'll drop the civil and corporate cases under two conditions. Firstly, I want $5 million compensation. Secondly, I want to meet both your wives, and Kim must fully admit her actions. If you agree to these conditions, I'll end the legal proceedings." "Go to hell, David. I'll offer you $100,000, and you'll sign an agreement to keep quiet about this forever," Sinclair whispered. "I won't let my family suffer. If they find out, David, I'll end you. Kim told us your daily routine. Making you vanish would be easy. Let's try again." David was surprised, but smiled and took a sip of his drink. "Well, I'll reduce the amount to $4 million, but your families must know what you did." Sinclair was stunned. "David, you're sealing your fate. Think it over. Drop the charges and take Kim back. It was just a fling. We can resolve this." David grabbed his phone and sent 2 text messages. Then he accessed his email and dispatched the prearranged email containing all the videos and images. Texts had now been distributed to all of Kim's friends, family, and colleagues. The 2 messages he sent were to the couriers stationed outside Jason and Jonathan's residences, awaiting his directives. The instructions were simple: deliver the package. Within moments, Mrs. Sinclair and Mrs. Wilkes possessed duplicate 3-ring binders containing comprehensive evidence of their husband's affair, including photos, videos, messages, phone logs, and other incriminating evidence. Sinclair, growing increasingly irate due to David's apparent indifference, erupted in anger. "What the hell, David? I'm speaking to you. What's your response? Are you dropping the charges?" To which David retorted, "My answer to you, Jason, Jonathan, and my wife is go to hell." Just then, the phones of both Jason and Jonathan began to ring. It was their wives on the line. Sinclair's face reddened, shooting David a glare of fury. Jonathan, visibly shaken, even teared up. Kim, bewildered, questioned David about the commotion. His response was cryptic. "Check your email in a few minutes, and I believe you'll understand." After ending the call with his wife, Sinclair pointed an accusatory finger at David. "You're dead, David. I'll slit your throat and watch you die like a dog." With that threat, he stormed out of the bar. Jonathan, confronting David, uttered a plaintive, "Why? Why would you do this to me?" David was astounded by the question. "Seriously? You've been using my wife, the love of my life, and the mother of my twin girls, every day for the past 6 months, arranging trysts with Sinclair. And you're surprised someone would retaliate? Everything I sent to your sweet wife was for her sake, to expose what a depraved beast of prey you are and how you've destroyed countless lives." Kim's phone began ringing as her sister, brother, and aunt called her shortly afterward. They all watched the videos and photos and had numerous questions. Initially, Kim denied knowledge of the situation, but then checked her email to see what I had sent. Her jaw dropped, and she shot me an angry look. "How could you do this to me? You've made it too easy. Darling, I truly love you, but it's over between us. After I hand this audio recording of the meeting to the authorities and social services, my lawyer is confident I'll secure full custody of the girls, and you'll be fortunate to evade jail time. I'm sorry, but you must face the consequences of your actions to prevent them from becoming public knowledge." Tricom resolved the lawsuit by compensating David Hunter with $2 million. Jason Sinclair was ousted as CEO and terminated without severance due to breaching the morals clause in his contract. He suffered losses exceeding $10 million in stock options and forfeited a $5 million severance package. Sinclair also received a 5-year sentence for conspiracy to commit homicide and other charges. His wife divorced him while he was incarcerated and financially decimated him upon investigation of his business dealings. He exited prison destitute, bereft of family, and homeless. This news provided David with some solace, and he even cracked a smile for the first time in months. Mrs. Wilkes also divorced Jonathan, leaving him without money, shelter, child support, or half of his income in alimony. He was fined $1 million in a civil trial for conspiracy, infidelity, and loss of affection. Following his job loss, Jonathan resorted to working as a day laborer. Learning of Jonathan's downfall further gratified David, who took pleasure in Jonathan's subsequent bankruptcy and life under an overpass among day workers. Kim received a 5-year prison sentence, but with David's assistance, it was commuted to 1 year of house arrest, followed by 4 years of probation for conspiracy. She lost custody of the children, and David gained full custody. Despite her efforts, she failed to secure a divorce due to the evidence and the nature of the crime. With the house belonging to David, she found herself homeless upon termination. She earned the same amount as David, so no child support was necessary. Kim spiraled into a profound depression and now resides in her mother's basement. Her family turned against her for her actions, resulting in the loss of her visitation rights with her children. The email I sent with the attached videos and photos exposed a dark side of Kim that no one had recognized before. This had the intended effect, completely shattering the support network within the Kim family. Forgiveness seems unattainable for Kim, even from herself. She relies on medication following 3 self-destruction attempts and has been in and out of mental hospitals for the past 6 months, struggling to come to terms with the lives she contributed to destroying. David now dedicates all his time to his daughters. Being free from work post-divorce allows him to focus entirely on raising his children. Since Kim's self-destruction attempt, the girls have not seen their mother, but they receive ample support from David's sister and mother. They will recover from this traumatic ordeal without any lasting effects. While revenge brought a fleeting sense of satisfaction, it cannot fully heal David's wounds. He still harbors love and forgiveness for Kim, but the memory of her betrayal remains etched in his mind. Taking care of his daughters keeps him occupied and wards off loneliness. However, due to the betrayal, lies, and deceit, it will take years before David can open his heart to love and trust again. It's remarkable how seemingly insignificant actions can have profound effects on numerous lives. Caution is advised.